Serial 14. Which church encouraged the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre of Christians? By the year 1572, the largest group of Protestants in France were the Huguenots. The French Catholic king, Charles IX, and his queen mother were disturbed by the increasing numbers of these French Protestants they called heretics. Catherine de' Medici, of the Italian Medici family, was the mother of Charles, and as the queen regent, she had a powerful influence over her son, the young French king. Catherine persuaded King Charles to arrange a marriage between her daughter, also the young king's sister, Marguerite de Valois, and the prince and captain of the Protestant Huguenots, Henry of Navarre. Henry and his family were invited to lodge at the King's Louvre palace while they attended nuptial festivities. Delighted with the marriage of the Huguenot prince to the king's sister, most of the French Huguenot leaders were in attendance at the wedding. The wedding was publicly celebrated at Paris, August 18th, 1572, by the Catholic Cardinal of Bourbon, upon a high stage erected for the purpose. They dined in great pomp with the bishop and supped with the king at Paris. The nuptials were solemnized with pomp and all the endearments, all the assurances of friendship. All the oaths sacred among men were profusely lavished by Catherine the Queen Mother and by the king, during which the rest of the court thought of nothing but festivities, plays, and masquerades. Then on the eve of St. Bartholomew, at 12 midnight, August 22nd, 1572, a prearranged signal was given by the pealing of church bells. And the king's soldiers began killing the Huguenots as they slept in the Louvre palace. The Huguenot servants of the new bride rushed into her bedchamber for protection, but Princess Marguerite was unable to protect them from the king's guards, who followed and murdered them in Marguerite's sight. At the same time, all the houses of the Protestants in Paris were forced open at once. Catholic priests carrying a cross in one hand and a dagger in the other went through Parisian streets, encouraging soldiers and Catholic citizens alike to kill all Protestants regardless of age or sex. The bodies of slain men, women, and children were thrown into the streets. Blood ran down the gutters of Paris until the Seine River was stained from the evil butchery. This horrid scene of bloodshed was repeated throughout the villages of France. John Foxe states the 6,000 Huguenots were murdered that night in Paris, while thousands of these Protestants were killed throughout France in the following weeks. Murder, rape, and pillage were the order of the day as long as it was against the Huguenot heretics. It was proved later that many of these atrocities were spontaneously committed by French Catholic civilian mobs as well as the king's soldiers. The Lady in Black, Catherine de' Medici, surveys the deadly results of her treacherous snare. Was it the Spirit of Christ or the Spirit of Satan that inspired this awful butchery? What would Jesus Christ have to say about such treachery and wholesale slaughter of men, women, and children? Pope Gregory XIII claimed to be the head of the only true Church of Jesus Christ. When informed by a courier about the Huguenot massacre, Pope Gregory paid the messenger 1,000 gold pieces for the good news. Then with all the cardinals, he prayed and ordered prayers that the French king might purge his entire kingdom of the Huguenot plague. Admiral Gaspard de Coligny, leader of the Huguenots, had also been in Paris to celebrate the wedding. His severed head was sent to the Pope in Rome. For Coligny's head, Pope Gregory sent a golden rose to reward the French king for his gift. On September 8th, a procession of thanksgiving took place in Rome, and the Pope, in a prayer after Mass, thanked God for having granted the Catholic people a glorious triumph over a perfidious race. In other words, the Pope did not even consider the French Protestants in the same race of mankind with French Catholics. In fact, he later refers to these Huguenots in a letter as vermin. Pope Gregory XIII also had a medal struck with his profile on one side and, on the other side, an image that portrayed an angel bearing a cross and a sword against the slaughtered Protestants. Slaughter of the Huguenots was written in Latin along with 1572, the year of the Massacre. And finally, Pope Gregory XIII commissioned the artist Gregorio Vasari to paint 3 frescoes for the Vatican commemorating the great Huguenot slaughter. This is one of the frescoes. It depicts the murdered Huguenot leader, Admiral Gaspard de Coligny, being thrown out of his bedroom window. Whatever happened to the Savior's admonition, "Love your enemies, do good to them that persecute you, turn the other cheek"? Was the Pope of the Catholic Church guided by the Spirit of the Lord or the Spirit of the devil in his response to this horrific massacre? And how are the main characters and places of this horrible event remembered in history today? The Louvre Palace would become a world-famous art museum. Paris would become known as the City of Lights and Love. Pope Gregory XIII would be remembered as the man that introduced the Gregorian calendar system, which we still use today. And what about Catherine de' Medici, who planned the slaughter of the Huguenots? Catherine de' Medici and her husband, King Henry II, were piously laid to rest in the Church of Saint Denis in Paris, France. Serial 14 Summary. 1. In 1572, the largest group of Protestants in France was called the Huguenots. 2. French King Charles IX and his mother Catherine opposed the increasing numbers of Protestants. 3. King Charles and Catherine set up a plan to trap and murder these Huguenots. 4. Catherine persuaded her son, King Charles, to arrange a marriage between her daughter, Marguerite de Valois, and Henry of Navarre, who was the prince and captain of the Huguenots. 5. Henry and his family were invited to lodge at the King's Louvre palace during the wedding festivities. 6. The nuptials were solemnized with pomp and all the endearments and assurances of friendship. 7. Midnight, August 22nd, ringing church bells signaled Catholics to begin murdering the Huguenots. Serial 14 Summary continued. 8. Catholic priests ran through the streets of Paris encouraging soldiers and Catholic citizens to murder all Protestants regardless of age or sex. 9. Historian John Foxe states that 6,000 Huguenots were murdered that night in Paris, while thousands of other Protestants were killed throughout France in the following weeks. 10. Pope Gregory XIII paid 1,000 gold pieces to the messenger carrying the news of the Huguenot slaughter. 11. Pope Gregory also sent a gold rose to the French king for receiving the severed head of the Huguenot leader. 12. The Pope had medals made and frescoes painted commemorating the Huguenot slaughter. 13. On September 8th, the Pope prayed to God, thanking him for the successful massacre of the Huguenots, and a procession of thanksgiving went through the streets of Rome to celebrate the victory. 14. God would never condone a plot that required the wholesale slaughter of Christian men, women, and children because of their religious beliefs. To continue, see Serial 15, What Caused the Worldwide Division of Christianity.